So if you remember, I told you I didn't know what I was doing. But what I'm doing right now is mapping out where I want the lines to run, the airlines to run, and mapping out how I'm going to make the harness look. I'm trying to do this as sleek and as neat as possible. I want it to look like Lexus did it. You know what I'm saying? So let's go. So trunk's kind of dirty right now, but what I am doing is routing lines, looking at where I need to route my harness, mounting the bottle, and a few other things. Let's go. All right, so this is a bracket that I'm making to mount my water separator, right? So I showed you how I was mounting the water separator before, how I intended to mount the water separator before. But since I decided to move the manifold down here in the spare tire well, I wanted the water separator to be closer to the manifold. I didn't want, so remember, I'm mounting my tank and stuff here, right? So tank and stuff is going to be mounted here. The manifold is going to be mounted here. If I had the water separator up here after the tank, it would come the line would come all the way down, and down to the manifold. I feel like that's plenty of space for condensation to build up in the line. So I figure I would put the water trap here, and by putting the water trap here, the airline has a shorter distance to travel. However I decide to route it, it's a shorter distance than coming all the way from the roof of the trunk. All right. And my plan is to have it mounted somewhere about here. All right. Somewhere around this area, or not somewhere, but right here is where I'm going to mount it. So I had to get a bracket, which I'm going to mount. Let's see if I can get this thing to cooperate with me. I'm going to mount right here. Boom. And 2 bolts going here, which is going to keep it here. And I'll be able to mount the water separator securely right here. All right, what are we looking at? Right now, we're looking at the manifold, the lines, the way I routed the lines, the way I'm routing the harness. Like I said, I want this to look as neat as possible. So I want it to look like it came from Lexus this way. This is where I mounted the water separator. I ran the line down underneath this bracket here, brought it out here, covered it in loom so that there's a little bit of protection between the line and the metal, brought it around, and it comes in here. That's your tank service or feed line. This comes from the tank, right? This is the exhaust. So when I'm letting the air out, you're going to hear the coming out of this line. Exhaust, they call it. One of these are both fronts. Can't remember which is which, left or right now, but these are both fronts. And then these two that are here, are rears. So this grommet here is where I'm gonna bring in the line from outside for the passenger side rear. This is gonna be the driver's side rear. It's gonna come in, come this way, plumb right in. This, I'm gonna bring it and plumb it right in. Leaving this area unobstructed. I might have one come this way and one come this way. I might zip tie them together like I did here to keep this open, and you'll see why here in a second. And this is what you see when you pop the cover off, right? This is what you're gonna see. Like I said, utilitarian. I want to be able to keep my spare. I want to be able to use the air ride system, air up my tire, use pneumatic tools, whatever it is that I'm trying to do or need to do, I want to be able to do it. Okay. Now, what's going on up here? So I have the Mark Levinson system. I'm sure there's no difference in the subwoofer placement between the ones that have Mark Levinson and the one that don't, but you see these isolators that are coming down here. I have 3 on this side and 2 on this side, and that's just because where the subwoofer is right now is obstructing me mounting that other one. So I'm going to take that other one, take the subwoofer out and mount the other isolator. So I'll have 3 up there, but I'll show you what it's going to look like in its final form. Here we go. All right, so as I was saying, so the whole purpose of me painting it this way, yeah, there you go. I painted it to where when I put the light on in the trunk, you're gonna see that shimmer. You see that shimmery? There it is. So there's going to be lights in the trunk, and my hope was that it would catch that. So I painted it to match the calipers. It doesn't match the calipers exactly because the calipers were powder coated. The calipers were powder coated and they don't have the same effect. Trying really hard to catch it. There it is. Anyway, I wanted it to be utilitarian. I wanted to be able to use it to do all the things. Like this is so that if I have a tank failure, a compressor failure, I can air up my tank. And that right there is so that I could use the onboard compressors to service tires and such. And behind that is a block off. So I left that there just in case I needed to use it for something down the road. It was available. Everything else is being utilized for something. So this right here is to drain the tank, right? That up there is the pressure switch. And this is the side that's going to feed the manifold, and this is the side that's feeding the tank, that's coming from the water separator that is sandwiched between the 2 compressors. Now, a couple of things I need to do. Right here is where I want to do my fiberglass enclosure for my sub. Under here is where I'm going to mount. I'm going to pull this up, and I'm going to be mounting my amplifier down here. That's going to complete that. Like I said, I'm going to remove the subwoofer that came with the car, And this is what the trunk is going to look like. I wanted to retain my spare tire. Yes, I could have put everything down here and it would have been much easier, but I wanted to retain my spare tire. And I wanted to try to make it look factory. So let me know what you think. Like I said, I'm taking my time with this, making sure that everything is exactly how I want it.